Centuries ago, a terrifying threat menaced the world. Armies of warrior nomads burst out of Central Asia, killing and looting from Europe to Japan. Their names still evoke death and devastation. Mongol, Tartar, Hun. They were unstoppable, but somehow they had to be stopped. To save their ancient empire, Chinese engineers would have to perform a miracle. And they did. They built the greatest military defenses the world had ever seen.
This is the killing zone. This is where all hell would be let loose.
An awesome shield for China to trap and annihilate the terrifying invaders from the north. The Great Wall of China, the biggest construction project on Earth. 1,000 fortified passes, 10,000 watchtowers, built where building anything seemed impossible, across waterless deserts, on near vertical slopes, into chasms, even underwater.
The Great Wall far exceeds any such accomplishment in the West, including the Egyptian ability to create the Great Pyramids.
It was an epic achievement, but achieved through epic suffering. Hundreds of thousands died building the wall, forced into slavery, then worked to death by some of history's most ruthless tyrants.
The human cost of building this wall was absolutely gigantic.
The Great Wall of China was one of mankind's most incredible feats. But what is its real legacy? Is it a monument to genius or a testament to tragedy? Beijing, 2005. Over China, electronic eyes are starting to reveal something never seen before. The first complete picture of an ancient wonder of the world, the Great Wall of China. In reality, a series of walls built by different dynasties over 16 centuries. The most ambitious construction project in history. No monument on Earth has so captured the imagination or spawned so many myths. Some say there's enough material in the Great Wall to encircle the Earth. But the usual estimate of its length is 10,000 miles, the distance from Miami to the North Pole. So is this just a great myth?
We have to remember that the Chinese built many great walls. And in total, if we look at them together, they would extend for a distance of more than 50,000 kilometers. That's 35,000 miles.
At the equator, the circumference of the Earth is 25,000 miles, about 40,000 kilometers. So it's not a myth. There'd be material to spare. It's also been said you can see the Great Wall from the moon with the naked eye. Is that true?
China put its first man in space in 2003, and he was asked the inevitable question. And I expected him to say with great national pride, yes, I could see our Great Wall crossing our motherland. But surprisingly, he said no.
Among the earthbound, geographer William Lindsay has seen more of the Great Wall than anyone. He's followed it from one side of China to the other. For him, calling the wall great doesn't begin to do it justice.
The Great Wall, I believe, is the world's most famous building. People dream about coming to China and walking on it for just 30 minutes or an hour. And those with imagination realize this wall continues to the west for 2,000 kilometers, to the east for 3,000 kilometers, as the crow flies. In terms of the twisting route, we don't really know. And for me, that's the great thing about the Great Wall of China. It's the most famous building in the world, and it's the least known.
But what we do know is incredible. A story that begins over 2,000 years ago, when one man single-handedly created China.
Qin Shi Huangdi was known as the first emperor of China. He came to the throne at a time when the warring states had been struggling with each other for 250 years. And finally, he beat off his last rivals and he established the first state of China. That's why it's called China, after his name, Qin.
But if China was to survive, Qin Shi Huangdi would have to deal with another formidable challenge: the warrior horsemen who plundered at will along the northern frontier. An enemy who could attack anywhere, then melt away into the deserts and mountains. China's first emperor came up with a solution that was stunningly simple and amazingly bold. He'd stop the horsemen in their tracks with a gigantic wall. He handed the seemingly impossible task to a man as ruthless as himself, General Meng Tian. The challenge was mind-boggling: fortify the entire northern frontier at breakneck speed. The construction method would have to be simple and cheap. Fortunately, the Chinese had already perfected it. Farmers still use exactly the same technique, ramming earth into a frame until it's hard as rock. But as time-lapse video shows, it's back-breaking labor and painfully slow. Even with an entire village on the job, in 45 minutes, the wall rises only 2 inches, just 5 centimeters. For Emperor Qin Shi Huangdi, the lesson was obvious. Only an immense labor force, like none ever assembled, could build a wall across the whole of China. But manpower wasn't a problem for such a powerful and pitiless ruler. His soldiers rounded up hundreds of thousands of peasants, marched them north, and worked them till they dropped. China has never forgotten their sufferings, immortalized in the ancient tale of Hsiung Nu. The emperor's soldiers ripped her beloved husband from her arms and dragged him away to labor on the wall. Cold and hungry, she searched for him across the vast expanse of China. At last, she arrived at the Great Wall. She'd found her husband, but too late. He was already dead from exhaustion.